predict one like we had last night, but I think it's going to be very competitive.
So we're underway. Out of bounds it goes.
We also have 9 of the 10 players on the floor right now are seniors. So not only is it Jim Hastings' last game, win or lose, it's going to be the last game for many of those players as well.
Dave Solomon of St. Paul, John Leiser are our officials. As designed by the league, they work the championship game. Knocked out of bounds. First time we've seen Duluth in the red uniform. Horner, who wore 50 in the white last night, is now 51 in the red. Some pretty familiar faces after the classic win last night over Minneapolis North. There's Horner, who has an excellent jump shot.
And Horner is the man I think is going to have to do most of the business against Jefferson's zone. The starting guards for Duluth Central shooting just 3 for 19 so far in the tournament. And nothing to brag about for Jefferson from the guard spot. Shooting-wise, 5 for 21. Scoring is done up front.
Berg misses, but Berg rebounds, takes it in, puts it up, and draws the foul. The foul will go against Tom Pearson, his first-team foul against Central.
Foul number 31, Tom Pearson.
Jim Berg, 4 for 13 from the field, but 5 for 7 from the line so far in the tournament.
Number 11, Jim Berg, is at the line for the Jaguars, shooting 2.
Berg and Monson, the 2 guards for the Jefferson Jaguars. Rebound finally picked up by Flick, back out for Berg. To the intensity, Sonnerborg had it get away. Berg tries to tie it up, and Sonnerborg reaches in, and we're going to get the jump. The possession, though, will go in favor of the Jaguars. Jeff Monson, watched by Sonnerborg.
Central playing man-to-man. Kevin Lynch, best offensive player for the Jaguars, being watched by Horner.
Big for Flick. And a travel call. Sonnerborg got in the way, and it seemed to upset his rhythm a bit.
Sonnerborg hasn't really found the outside shooting that he has seen during the regular season, but he does a lot of things well, plays good defense, and he makes a lot of things happen as far as just hustling. Both of these teams like to play half-court games, although we did see Duluth Central get into a little bit of a running game last night.
Tom Pearson drops it down.
I don't think we're going to see too much full-court pressure by either team unless it really gets tight toward the end.
Taken away by Sonnerborg.
Shows good patience. Off Horner, and it will be long to Jefferson.
Horner was thinking about where he was going to throw the ball before he had caught it. He looked away, and then when he looked back, it deflected off of him.
Happens quite often, especially when you're going down for a layup. You're thinking about your shot before you get the ball in your hand.
Lynch finds Berg. Kevin Lynch. Blocking foul is called.
Tough call there. That's also going to go against Pearson. Lynch started up the baseline there and really, I think, got in too deep and put it off the side of the board. Let's see. No, it's not on Pearson.
No, Sonnerborg picks it up.
Sonnerborg coming over a little bit late.
There's Flick. Little acting job that time by Sonnerborg, but the official's not falling for that. They're going to have to do Hollywood a little better than that.
Basketball number 53, David Flick.
Horner. The whistle goes underneath. We'll see which of the Jaguars picks that one up.
You know, Horner, for all his shooting prowess during the season, is hitting just 13 of 34 coming into tonight's game for 38%. He did hit his first one tonight, but missed the second. And I really think that that's going to be a key. I think he's going to have to be in the high teens for Duluth Central to Jefferson away.
Tony Gear and Darryl Sellers, by the way, have done an outstanding job keeping stats during the tournament. I want to thank them.
The Jefferson strength is their defense, their 2-3 zone that you're looking at right now. They play it so well, very aggressively. Guards covering out. They've got good size inside, long arms. Something that's gotten them to the state tournament. Their rebounding is also another strength.
One name we haven't called yet on offense is Radosevich, and Jefferson is vitally aware of where he is located in the zone. Central likes to go into him and then work it back out or have him go to the bucket. He hasn't been able to get started yet as Monson hits the jumper.
Pearson will bring the ball up the floor for Duluth, which trails now by 1. There's Pearson over Monson. Horner back out for Pearson. There's Radosevich.
A little bit further than he likes to operate.
Monson. Thunderborg watches him. Well, there's a case where the Hollywood helps you. He pushed him back, but he didn't push him nearly that hard. Now, we can say that because we were 1 foot away.
Let's watch it. Monson does put his rear end into him a little bit here as he tries to clear himself. Back, forward. And then he pushes him some, but you're right. But that's the way players are coached these days. You know, defensive basketball is really the rule.
Back now for Pearson. Off for Horner. Here's Stellmacher. Ron Stellmacher, the senior, 6'4", Kansas, and Duluth catapults into the lead by 1.
I know, Jan, you've mentioned that Stellmacher can hit those outside shots. They'll need all their ammo against this zone.
Shot by Walker doesn't go. Foul called underneath.
They are going to need Stellmacher to help from the outside, along with Horner, but Radosevich is really shooting an incredible percentage for the first 2 games, 17 for 25, 68%, so they need to get that inside game established against this 2-3 zone.
Foul was on Berg. We'll be back in a moment. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Championship game. We're courtside, and it's been everything advertised so far.
Competitive is the word that most people use when describing these 2 teams. Their defensive tenacity is so great that it's hard to imagine either team gaining a real superior physical edge.
You would think that it would be nip and tuck all the way.
I think so.
3 or 4 points separating the 2 clubs. And now for Pearson.
They're looking for Radosevich inside.
Horner had his shot blocked, I believe, by Lynch. Saved there by Pearson. Here's Horner. Bucket will count.
It's either Walker or Flick in the middle there. It's going to be Walker, I think. There's Pearson feeding so adeptly. He finds Horner, gets a good roll, and the foul on Walker.
His first 4th team foul. Horner misses. Radosevich is fouled underneath. So already 5 fouls against Jefferson, and we still have 3:21 to go in the first quarter.
Flick got in foul trouble last night. Nerud came in and did a big job. And he's going to come in now.
Yes, Flick leaves with 2.
Nerud had been a starter part of the season. And John Walker came on very strong to replace him in the starting lineup and has assumed that role. Nerud comes off the bench very well. Flick has played some good basketball in the tournament, though.
Well, Radosevich nails them both, and it's a 5-point lead, biggest in the ball game so far by Duluth Central. Trojans are 23-0. This is the final game for Coach Jim Hastings. Nerud. Pearson inside for Radosevich.
He's going to be called for the walk. Pearson again, though, starting to find those seams inside.
They are. They're moving the ball around well, and that's really important as far as getting the passing angle. Radosevich is moving well inside, but sometimes you have to move it around to get a better angle, depending on where the defense is.
Corey Otterdahl is in, and Berg is out for the Jaguars, picked off by Pearson. Acting job by Lynch, not convincing enough. Been some bad acting out there so far. and then one good one that got the foul call. And for Radosevich, and the foul will go on Stelmacher. First on Stelmacher, third team foul on Duluth Central. We have 2:25 to go here first quarter. It's 10-7 Duluth.
Well, Radosevich just keeps working away. Gets in there where he wants to be, but those Jefferson boys are big. Walker's hands were up. He gathered the rebound, and they called Stelmacher for the foul.
Rory Otterdahl rebounds to Stelmacher. Off now for Pearson. Horner. Rebound by Lynch, off for Monson. Sonnerborg.
Great play by Lynch. He's the only junior out there right now.
You wouldn't know it by the way he plays. He snapped the rebound down and lost the control of it a little bit, but still presence enough to zip it inbounds to a teammate. Central comes back and forces a turnover.
He's probably the purest basketball player we've seen in this tournament, I think, as far as skills and having every aspect of his game down and being able to be a very versatile player.
Pearson inside. They find Radosevich. Stelmacher with the rebound, back for Pearson. There's Pearson. Otterdahl had a hand in his face. Stelmacher went up and drew the foul. Nayrud fouled him. That'll be the first on Nayrud.
Well, it hasn't been a real smooth start for Jefferson on offense, so they have to keep playing tenaciously on defense because they're not the kind of a team that's really going to explode at you on offense, so they got to keep it close. Dan Brink said last night that what Central wanted to do was get a lead and force Jefferson to come out of that zone because then they're a much different team, and they don't want to come out of that zone. Therefore, they don't want this lead to get very big, and right now it's 4 points.
Stelmacher hits his free throw. He has 3 points. Now he has 4. Sonnerborg is the only Duluth Central starter who hasn't scored, so I say that because it shows you they're moving the scoring around. The minute 5 to go here in the first quarter. In for Flick, who tries to back his way in against Radosevich. And they're saying Radosevich hit him on the arm. Radosevich doesn't believe it.
He turns to the other official, Jay Solomon, and says, "You were much closer. You didn't see that, did you?" They could have called him there, where he did probably foul, but he called it there and from behind. So the break for Jefferson. Flick goes to shoot 2.
Form at the line, and it's now a 3-point lead for Duluth Central. We're inside a minute, 58 seconds to go first quarter. Here's Horner. He traveled. Looks like he got hit on the mouth on the way through, too.
Not usually an advisable tactic to take it to the basket against the zone. There's usually just too much traffic.
Horner got it in the mouth.
Gets to galloping a little bit, and the ball goes to Jefferson. A chance to cut it to 1 before the quarter.
Overshot the mark, Lynch did. Picked off by Radosevich. Fast break by Duluth Central. In goes Horner. What a move. Past the basket and then hooked it back.
They're quite a pair, those two. Radosevich is very comfortable leading the break, as you can see.
Lynch tries to answer as the quarter ends, and that is the end of the first quarter of play. With a score, Duluth Central 14 and Bloomington Jefferson 9. This is the 1986 Minnesota Basketball Tournament. April the 8th, the first of 68 ball games. The Twins against the Oakland A's. The season opener from the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. We hope you can join us. And I expect you to go back to Duluth and watch all 68 games this year, and there'll be a written quiz. And now for Tom Pearson. Killebrew ever gets sick, you be ready.
Good deal.
Let's see if Jack Evans and Jake Lynch, the Jefferson Brain Trust, has come up with anything offensively to try to get things on track. There's a foul whistled on Monson.
His second, they're over the limit, so we're into the 1-1 with 7:42 to go here in the half.
I think that was clearly Central's quarter, not only on the scoreboard, but just getting the things done that you wanted to get done. Moved the ball well against the zone. They got Horner off to a decent start offensively, and they held Kevin Lynch without a point, and he's Jefferson's key man.
Dasovich, a perfect 3 from the free throw line.
Duluth Central is doing something St. Paul Central could not get going last night, and that is getting the ball inside. Getting Radosevich involved in the offense has really been very effective against this 2-3 zone. Last night, St. Paul Central could not get it in for anything.
And for Flick, missed the layup. Oh, you hate to miss him like that when you're behind like this early. And a travel called against Pearson. Flick is just talking to himself. How could I miss it?
Pearson's a little upset. He thought he was tripped there. He caused the violation.
Kind of an interesting thing was last time Bloomington Jefferson won the state championship in '82. As we see David Flick make that basket, Flick was just starting to play basketball. He did not start playing competitively until he was a freshman. And for a program with the tradition that Jefferson has, that's really quite unusual for him to be able to come in, start, and be a major contributor.
Thunderborg overshot his mark. Here comes Berg now for Jefferson.
Lynch started the second quarter with a seat on the bench, but he's now set to check in. Foul on Radosevich. Jack Evans wanted to get him a different perspective. Maybe he can see where the openings are on offense, but Duluth Central doesn't give many. Radosevich played a good deal of last night's game with 5 fouls, so I don't think 2 fouls is anything to get too worked up about.
That is the 15th foul, though, so it'll put John Walker at the line, shooting 1-1. Jefferson beating Fergus Falls, or I'm sorry, beating Faribault by 2, and routing St. Paul Central by 25 to get here. It was Duluth Central that beat Fergus Falls and Minneapolis North to make the appearance. Possession this time goes in favor of who? Goes in favor of Bloomington.
Well, they call a foul.
One called the jump ball, the other one called the foul.
It's going to be on Flick.
That'll be his third.
Foul number 53, David Flick. That's his third personal foul.
Jim Hastings, final game as head coach.
Nehru comes back in for Flick, who has gotten in foul trouble early. Both teams would like to do a better job on free throws tonight. Jefferson shooting 64% coming into the game for the 2 previous games, and Duluth Central 59%.
Delmacher is 3 for 3 from the line. Radosevich is 4 for 4 for the line. Horner missed his only free throw, so they've hit 7 of 8 as a team. Now 7 to 9. But retain the ball with Horner.
Duluth Central is the more scrappy of the 2 teams right now. They're getting to the loose balls a step ahead of the Jaguars.
They tried to force that one in. Did not get away with it. It was finally picked off by Lynch. Back now for Berg. Down to Walker. He walked. Pained expression.
Jefferson operated so effectively in that low post offense last night against Central, entering it to either Lynch or Walker. Duluth Central playing great defense.
Delmacher is knocked loose underneath. Now we get the possession. This time it goes in favor of Jefferson.
Take another look at that scramble.
you talked about Duluth Central and how scrappy they are. They really do go for all the loose balls, and there's every player. You see John Horner on that play.
Walker puts it up.
That's going to be a foul on Nehru. A lot of whistles in the first half.
I think he fouled Sonnerborg. Have a look at Dan there, 6'1" senior. And Hastings in the background. 5:51 to go until half. 5-point lead for Hastings and his Trojans of Duluth Central. Trying to close out his 25th year with a perfect 24-0. Daughter Patty worked our tournament coverage back in 1979 and 1980. Patty Davidson. Sonnerborg gets the free throw down. And it's a 6-point lead for Duluth.
It was 25 years ago in 1961 when Jim Hastings won the first of those 3 state championships. He says that state championship team had the best backcourt he's ever seen in the state of Minnesota, and that was Terry Kunze, who later played at the University of Minnesota, and Roger Hansen, who I'd played horse with up at the Duluth YMCA.
Foul called on Horner. How you do?
He beat me. We got 1 game on him, but boy, that guy can still shoot the ball.
John Horner. The ever-dangerous Kevin Lynch goes to the free throw line. Foul on Horner was his first. 1 plus the bonus. And there will be a bonus.
Maybe that's what Lynch needs to get himself on track. He's had a couple of jumpers. The first one he threw up there, Horner knocked away. And that gets him thinking a little bit. The second one was way over the bucket, so...
Ayrud rebounds. So the miss pays dividends. 4-point lead now for Duluth Central. Sonnerborg down for Horner. And back for Sonnerborg and over for Pearson. 5:18 to go till halftime. The Double-A championship. LeSueur won it all in the A game this afternoon. Peterson finished 3rd. St. Paul Central finished 3rd in the Double-A. Horner. Finally, Berg controls for the Jaguars. Puts it across for Lynch. Takes the jumper.
There he goes.
Needed to get a little rhythm in that shot. He took a dribble. Les with a good job of spotting the ace player across the floor and through the double team and found Lynch open.
So from a 7-point deficit, the Jaguars have cut it to 2. Inside for Stelmacher. Sea of red shirts went crashing in, but Berg comes off with the ball. Walker, turnaround jumper, classic form.
Well, that's 2 consecutive times that Berg has come down with a rebound on the defensive end, and against a team that fights like Duluth Central, you've got to be able to employ all people going to the board, and Berg has helped out.
Jim Hastings wants a timeout, so do we. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Tournament.
Like that, it's a much better perspective than he was looking at a few moments ago, down 7. Both of his big guns underneath have gotten on track now. Kevin Lynch got his first basket a minute ago, and here's the first one for John Walker. Gets Radosevic on his back. Radosevic fights for position, but Walker fades away and banks it in softly to tie the score.
Well, a 7-point run by the Jaguars has us tied with 3:56 remaining here in the half. Pearson. Can't argue with that.
They'll need a few of those. They really had Radosevic snuggled in the middle there. They weren't going to let him beat the zone that way. They want to make Duluth Central win from the outside.
for Berg, watched by Pearson. Over Pearson for the bucket. Berg wiggles free. Berg has 3, and we're tied again. There's a steal. This is Lynch. Pearson's back, and Lynch blows by him and scores. Lynch had the position. There wasn't much Pearson could do.
Lynch really does a nice job down there on the baseline. The first night when they played Mounds View, he came up. Mounds View? He came up with that big steal. Faribault. He went for the alley-oop lob, and it was Lynch that got the steal on the baseline. Game-saving play.
Yeah, we wound up 42-40 over Faribault.
Jefferson to the attack again. They're on a little run right now. Duluth Central has to do something, get a big play to turn the tide.
Berg kicks back out for Lynch. There's it for Walker. Puts it over Radosovic. Nayrud saves.
And we talked about Duluth Central making the heads-up plays early in the game, and that one Nayrud had position to begin with. The shot was missed so badly that it didn't do him any good, but he was there to save it smartly off of Stellmacher.
It was a smart play, but if you're on the receiving end of that, it's not too much fun.
No, it's not.
Berg was right in front of Stellmacher's dad, too, the band director. That is his father?
That is, yeah.
I got a superintendent's kid.
Pearson with the ball is the superintendent's son. Pearson is now retiring this spring.
Everybody retiring up there or what?
I don't know.
Radosovic is in.
Drops it home. That's 6 points for Radosovic, but that's his first basket of the game.
Horner shooting 3 for 9 so far from the field.
Berg. Rebound goes to Horner. Off now for Pearson. Here come the Trojans. And a sweet-looking little guard. Moves it over for Sonnerborg. Back for Pearson. Misses that one. Rebound taken down. As Duluth Central controls with 1:07 now to go in the quarter. 1:07 actually left to go in the half. We're tied at 23. Well, folks, we promised it'd be close. We wouldn't mislead you.
Call Radosovic, a third foul just before the half here.
He and Walker doing some pushing inside. Radosovic hasn't scored much from the inside yet, but his presence has been felt in there, getting the passes in.
But he's gotten in there a lot more than I bet most teams have against Jefferson's zone, and he's a fighter. Let's see what we can see. He's backing Walker out of there, and that's what he is called for.
He's also been trying to set picks down low and up around the free throw line for the guard, so he's really been working hard without the ball.
Lynch 1 for 2 from the line tonight, make it 2 for 3. He has 4 points now.
His name even sounds like a linebacker, Radosovic.
John Walker at the line right now is a very good student. He ranks 5th in his class, and you know what Jefferson his classes are.
Huge
Pretty
class.
large.
Lynch. First Walker hits the free throw, and then Lynch grabs the rebound on the missed free throw and puts it in.
Jim Hastings whipped out his pen and wrote something down on his clipboard for halftime presentation, I'm sure.
That's the second time that has happened on a one-on-one where Jefferson has hit the front end, missed the back end, gotten the rebound, and gotten the basket.
Lynch has done that to a lot of teams, though. Great leaper. We're under 20 seconds to go.
Wait for the last shot. 15 seconds to go in the half. Now 13. Now 9. Foul is called on Berg with 6 seconds left. I mentioned at the end of the game last night, they don't seem to be bothered much by the clock. I do think they were bothered a bit more by the clock. We talked about this earlier in the day. They being Duluth Central than they appeared. They played it that last minute against Minneapolis North last night like they were a bunch of 35-year-old NBA players. It didn't seem to bother them a bit that the Horner got the steal with 13 seconds left, nor did it seem to bother him at all that they didn't get the pass off to Radosovic, and there were only 2 seconds left on the clock. They played that thing to absolute perfection. We gave him a lot of credit, but we may have given him maybe too much, I think.
There were a lot of passes made in the last 13 seconds, though, and it couldn't have been any better played had it been scripted out.
No, you couldn't have designed that any better.
Lynch goes deep, and it's going to come all the way back to the baseline, where Central will have a chance to take the lead before halftime. So maybe not a good decision on the part of Kevin Lynch.
The ball was not touched, so it would be taken out where Jefferson took it out.
Back for Pearson. Over for Horner. Gets the shot blocked by Lynch.
I think Lynch was angry about that missed play. He really went after that shot by Horner.
And that is the end of the first half. And it's been a dandy. The score, Bloomington Jefferson 26 and Duluth Central 25. This is the 1986 Minnesota State High School Basketball Tournament.
That started out A have become double A and so forth. Are we getting more double A or more A as it goes on?
Well, the number has declined. The number of A schools has declined some with declining enrollment, or double A with the declining enrollment. We're down about 20 schools to what we originally started out in double A. And I think probably as the numbers go down, maybe that 500 number may have to drop down a little bit also.
All in all, you think the league is happy, though, with the two-class system? It's been that way since '71. There's much more participation, certainly, at this level.
Well, I think so. It gives more young people a chance to participate. Once a class or a sport has 10% of both double A and A schools, it's held in two tournaments, an A and a double A tournament. So it gives more young people a chance to participate in the state tournaments.
There are a number of sports, however, that have just one class, are there not?
That's correct. For instance, gymnastics, tennis, swimming. Our biggest one is hockey. We're about 3 or 4 schools short of 2 tournaments with about 46 or 47 A schools.
So that's something we may look forward to, or possibly not to. It depends on your point of view on an 8 or 16 team tournament. It could happen in hockey soon. Thanks for visiting with us, Don Paul. Perry?
Thank you, Jim. Well, the drama is building in the Class AA championship game. The second half coming up, so stay tuned. This is it.
Other than the fact the Trojans are shooting 32%.
Well, Jefferson's shooting a little bit better from the field. They're 10 for 20. Blue Central only 7 for 22, but Central's made up for it at the free throw line, hitting 3 more free throw shots than Jefferson. But overall, as you can see, it's really quite even.
Nothing less than expected, I would think. The great balance on both teams. Duluth Central, nobody with more than 6, but 3 players with 6 and 1 with 5. And for Jefferson, Lynch leads the way with 7, but 6 players have figured in the scoring. And the defensive intensity is what is real good about this game. Both teams have gotten to a good deal where they are because of their defense, and I'm sure we'll have a war underneath in the second half.
Well, here we go. Final half of the 1986 high school basketball season here in Minnesota. Pearson over for Selmacher, back for Pearson. Thunderborg, back for Pearson. Pearson putting it up, won't go. And it will belong to Bloomington Jefferson.
Central has gone with all 5 senior starters for the first half. Jefferson's played 7.
You that are not aware, Duluth Central is unbeaten, the only such team left in Minnesota. Duluth Central is 23-0. Berg off for Monson. But both clubs had a couple of chances at the start of the half and weren't able to convert. Horner.
Very tough play on Horner's part. Walker had knocked that ball loose, but Horner snaked his arm out there and got it back and put it in.
So Duluth Central on top by 1.
Oh, Flick almost picked up his 4th there, crashing for the rebound.
Duluth led by 14-9 at the quarter. Jefferson by 26-25 at the half.
Tim Radosevich has scored 20 points in each of the first 2 games. He only took 3 shots from the field.
They turn it over.
He was 4 for 4 from the free throw line, but just 1 field goal.
They
in the
had a
first
tough
half.
time getting him the ball.
Jim, we talked a little bit last night about how Jefferson is 20-4, but perhaps they played a little bit better schedule than Duluth Central in that strong conference of theirs.
I think overall it doesn't prove much. Duluth Central can only be as good as the competition they play, and they've beaten everybody, so it's hard to argue with that. But Jefferson does come from a very competitive area, that Lake South region, and Burnsville sitting home tonight knowing they've beaten this team twice.
Berg missing the free throw. Foul was on Pearson, his second, first on Duluth here in the second half.
But they could be sitting somewhere in section 215 or something, I'm not sure. Tied up, Central back to the attack.
Radosevich.
Here's a first full court pressure I've seen from Jefferson in the tournament.
Now they got Radosevich on that one. It was a tough one for Burr. He did get clipped on that one. He got clipped pretty good.
Broken field running. He made a great play that way last night. Took it all the way to the hole himself. This time he zipped it off for Horner, but crunched a opponent in the process.
Berg whips it out now for Walker at midcourt. Back for Lynch. Lynch against Horner. Lynch pulls up, takes the shot, and scores.
Smooth play. He kind of glides out there. He's got some great skills.
9 points for Kevin Lynch. 6 minutes to go, third quarter. 2-point lead for the Jaguars. They get it into Stellmacher. He gets tied up, but a foul is called. And that one will go against Lynch. It'll be his first team foul against Jefferson here in the second stanza.
They got it inside to Stellmacher, but Jefferson just converged on him.
First team foul on Jefferson.
Looks like it is going to be an intense struggle right down to the end. Duluth has had a 5-point lead a couple of times. Once led by 7, 19-12, but Jefferson ran off a string to tie it. That's Horner. He has 10.
Nice passing by Duluth Central. Horner kind of inched in as he passed the ball back to Pearson and took one more step closer to the basket to hit the jumper.
Lynch. Shot is short. Rebound goes to Horner. Cleared off for Pearson. Ahead for Radosevich. Berg tries to set himself, and Berg is going to be called for the block. Couldn't quite get set in time. Radosevich with 4 fouls. You wouldn't know it the way he plays.
He did kind of try to turn sideways. That's about as much as a concession as he'll make going to the basket, trying to avoid the direct hit. But he was going. There was no question about that. Berg just couldn't get over there in time.
He didn't miss many of those. It was a great lead pass by Pearson.
Berg needed to take it one step more, and then we might have seen that collision.
He got the roll. Radosevich a perfect 5 from the free throw line. He has 7 points for the evening.
When you see Radosevich coming, though, it would be real hard to step in there knowing that he's going to take it to the basket.
Knowing that you are going to get flattened. 5:08 remaining, third quarter. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Tournament. The type of game tonight that we advertise. Sometimes, you know, you get filled up and it doesn't quite work out that way. I thought we'd have a better third place game than we had in Class AA, but it turned out to be pretty good at the end. But this thing has had the intensity right from the beginning.
Well, Jefferson on a roll and Duluth Central unbeaten, and it figured that neither team was going to give it to the other. It's got to be taken, and it may be in the last 10 seconds again. Who knows?
Central jumped out to a quick 5-point lead, but ever since Jefferson got back in the game, it has been seesawing back and forth.
Walker has got that soft touch on the jump shot. 6 points for Walker. It's tied again. Horner. Rebound Berg off for Lynch. Backpedaling is Pearson. Lynch gets the shot over Pearson, doesn't get the roll. Stellmacher rebounds. And the Trojans break up the floor. Lynch hustling back to get on defense. And now is back in the flow of things to be pulled back out by Pearson.
Good defensive job on the other end there to prevent Lynch from getting a pass to the bucket.
Pearson found Radosevich. They fouled him a couple of times. We mentioned the fact that he had only the shot, but, you don't get charged with a shot if you're fouled in the play like he was there. And he has had a couple of appearances on the free throw line.
Well, it's shades of last night there. Pearson penetrating a little bit, spotting Radosevich. Pearson looked like he was going to go up with the shot, froze the defense, and slipped it in there.
Radosevich has hit all 7 free throws. Was the second on the foul was on Neighborhood, his third team. Radosevich will have to settle for 1 from the line, 9 points so far from the night. Here's Bird. Back out for Monson. 1-point lead for Duluth Central. Beirut, he has 6.
Big basket there. You'd like to get some inside points from him, but anything out in that perimeter area is a bonus from the big guy.
Horner.
Nice quick move to the baseline.
12 points for John Horner. Horner with 12 and Radosevich with 9 have led Duluth. Horner rebounds underneath. Knocked away. Lynch goes after it to save. But he's out of bounds, and Duluth will control the ball with 3:03 to go here, third quarter. Well, we're going to take a break and remind you that this is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Tournament.
Reminder again, Jefferson fans will be a welcome home celebration honoring the Jaguar basketball team and following the game at Jefferson High School in approximately 11:30. The Central fans welcome home honoring the Trojan basketball.
Extravaganzas. There's at noon tomorrow, and tune in tomorrow to find out what I'm talking about. They're over taking care of the Big Ten gymnastics. The women's finals are going on at Williams Arena both last night and again tonight, and they will air the show tomorrow at noon, and it's an exciting thing to watch. A little bit of what they have put together, and it really looks good. So noon tomorrow, Big Ten women's gymnastics on Channel 9. Robin Hubner and Dick Bramer.
3:03 to go here in the third quarter, and it's a 1-point game. Central has the lead and the ball. Speaking of the great history of Duluth Central, I saw Terry Kunze passing by on his way to a radio interview or something, and he's here to lend support. As you mentioned earlier, he was on what some think was the best of all Central teams, that first one back in, was it 60 or 61?
61.
Great
Kunze
player.
has done some scouting, I know, for Jim Hastings, too.
Horner missed, but Horner followed.
He was also the coach of the Minnesota Phillies, the professional team that didn't make it.
Three-point lead for Duluth Central. In for Flick, and the foul will be called on Stellmacher. It's me, he says, waves his hand in the air. You get a look at David Flick, who's a pretty good free throw shooter. But he's not going to shoot in this instance. We're not into the bonus yet. That's just the third foul.
3 team fouls on each right now.
A well-played game. Bird over Stellmacher. Oh, Lynch. 11 points for Kevin Lynch.
He is so fun to watch.
Radosevich kicks it back out for Stellmacher. Back for Pearson. Into Radosevich. Well, they found the hole that time. Radosevich has 11.
Pass made possible by Pearson again.
It was Pearson that hit Radosevich for the winning bucket at the Horn last night against Minneapolis North to put Duluth in this championship game. It looks like in that last minute or so, perhaps it would be Tony Queen and the Polars playing for the title.
And Narrow continues to score well. That's 4 for 4 for him off the bench. A real big lift for Jefferson.
8 points and right back to within 1 again. Knocked loose by Monson. Pearson came from behind. He heard footsteps.
They're going to give it back to Jefferson. Take a look at it again. Monson on the break. He took a little bit of a circle there trying to get a better angle, and I think it cost him. And the ball looked like Duluth Central may have had a gripe there, like it might have gone off Bird's leg.
Three seconds to play third quarter. If we're going to have a dandy finish. Here's Flick muscling his way in against Stellmacher. Shot is short. Radosevich rebound. See if they play for the final shot. Yell.
You know he's going to roll it over the left side and just power in. He does have quite a bit of finesse for a guy that we've been describing as such a physical player.
Berg tries to answer, fails to do so. Ball belongs to Jefferson. 21 seconds left.
Have a chance to get back within one after 3 quarters. We may see a low-scoring fourth quarter. Emphasis on defense and not conceding anything easy. There's a foul on Stellmacher for holding.
His third, team's fourth.
So the 21 seconds still remain, and fortunate for Jefferson that play occurred because Monson was having trouble finding somebody.
Jefferson really makes it difficult for Duluth to play an effective man-to-man because they move so well and set so many picks. They're never standing.
There he is. Flick got open somehow. Radosevich is on the ground looking at the official, but it's 2 for Jefferson, and it's 40-39.
13 seconds to go, third quarter. Pearson has it knocked loose. Here's a chance for the Jaguars. Monson goes in, back to block it is Horner. Lynch to turn around, and that's the end of the third quarter. So we are all set for a great finish. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Tournament.
On the Duluth Central, number 45, Mike Brett, returns to the lineup.
Hi, I'm George Mikan. You know, in basketball, anything can happen. But a great player will always deliver an outstanding performance. That's what today's Most Valuable Players Award is all about. And Dairy Queen is proud to be the sponsor of today's award. The winner will receive a trophy, and Dairy Queen will donate $100 to our local children's hospital in that player's name. The most valuable player will be announced at the conclusion of the game.
They don't build them like they used to. Old ways have become new ways. Ways as up-to-date as tomorrow. But some things never change. Toughness, quality, pride. It all comes together in St. Paul. Is a Northland-built Ford pickup truck a better-built Ford pickup truck?
We think so.
See them now. Northland Ford dealer.
Well, as we take a look at the tournament scoring, 2 players for Duluth Central are right at the top, ranking 1 and 2 in Jim Radosevich and John Horner, leading the way for the Duluth Central Trojans.
I would imagine that they are packed around the TV set in what is now your adopted hometown of Duluth. I imagine there's a lot of interest in this ball game up there.
Most definitely, a lot of interest in Jim Hastings' final game of his coaching career.
Talked about it last night, mentioned it again. It's such a sports story up on the Duluth area, all along up there with the Sertich, with the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, what they've accomplished, not necessarily this year, but in the past, although they had a decent year this year with the Duluth Central girls team, Duluth Central guys team.
Duluth Denfeld in the hockey tournament.
Right.
A couple of third quarter stats that are striking. Jefferson shot just 6 of 18 in the quarter, but if you want to know why they're hanging close, they had no turnovers in the quarter.
Well, we got some words going on nose to nose. Looks like a couple heavyweight fighters at the weigh-in. Eye to eye.
Central wins the possession, but I don't know if anybody won the stare down.
It's been physical inside between Walker and Radosevich all evening.
Lynch and Radosevich, or rather Walker and Radosevich. Radosevich tying up after the shot by Lynch. Radosevich might have a career as a wrestler this year. It's important to stare.
Pearson, who's had an excellent tournament. Horner. Rebound goes to Walker. For Lynch, and they're a little slow getting started now with Monson in the backcourt. Picked up by Pearson. 7:09 left. For Walker over Pearson. Rebound to Flick. Big offensive rebound for David Flick. He has 10 points.
Jefferson back in the lead as we go under 7 minutes to play.
And Duluth Central, for those of you that may have happened to wander in the middle of the telecast, the only unbeaten team left. They are 23-0. Jefferson is 22-4. Horner. Rebound Stellmacher. Stellmacher is fouled by Monson. So a couple of big offensive rebounds. First Flick on one end, and then Stellmacher on the other.
A rare substitution. Mike Grandmason was in there for Duluth Central. He comes out again now, and Sunderborg goes back. There's the shot taken by Horner. Stellmacher is there, and Monson clips him.
We saw earlier how Radosevich and Horner are leading in the tournament scoring, but Stellmacher has been a consistent scorer all season. He averages about 15 a game. Tom Pearson averages 10, so Central really is a balanced team.
4 of 6 in the free throw line now for Stellmacher. That's to Walker. Over Radosevich. Oh, bucket he walked.
John Leeser and Jay Salmon with the very difficult task of working this tooth and nail game. Great pass in there by Lynch, and Walker, I think, was surprised a little bit by it and didn't go up right away. By the time he got himself gathered, the whistle had blown for traveling.
6:12 to go. Pearson. Knocked loose, picked off there by Walker after it was knocked loose by Berg. They get the ball to Monson, and up the floor they come with 5:43 remaining.
That Jefferson defense forced 19 turnovers against Central last night.
Monson missed the freebie.
As you mentioned earlier, Jim, Jefferson just does not make mistakes. A very solid game.
The contact underneath. Ball finally goes to Walker.
Who can outlast the other one with that toughness on defense? Both teams, a lot of fire.
Walker over Stellmacher. Pearson jets in, puts the shot up, and the foul will go on the man on the floor for blocking. David Flick says, how can it be? And he has picked up his 4th foul. It is the 4th team foul, I believe, against Jefferson here in the second half. 15th foul, I'm sorry.
15th foul on Jefferson.
15th foul, 4th personal foul.
Pearson at the line goes to 1-1.
Pearson with the 1-1. Pearson now 3 for 3 from the free throw line, has 7 points. And with that free throw, Duluth Central goes up by 1.
No, they're still down 1. That's right.
There's your score, 43-42 for Bloomington Jefferson. Here's Berg, takes it in, drops it home. No basket in the cylinder.
They called a foul before the precarious hanging thing on the rim there that was tipped in. That was waved off because the foul was blown before that, and Berg will go to the line with a 1-1. Let's see what Jay Salmon's called here. Berg hasn't made a lot of big plays, but the ones he has have been very key. He goes in here. 5th foul on Radosevic for the bump there. There's Walker. A very close call, but it didn't have to be made because the foul was previous. Comes Berg again. Radosevic. Oh, a tough one.
Total tournament attendance, 86,036. Thank you.
Jack Evans over at the Bloomington bench. And Berg on the line, shooting 1-1. $11,396 in attendance at the Civic Center tonight, bringing the tournament down, or tournament total rather, to 86,036. It was down a little over 1,900 from a year ago. Talked earlier, I think one of the reasons attendance was down is you had a lot of the schools like Fergus Falls and them go out early, and the metro schools don't draw as well. Anyway, 4:42 to go. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Tournament. By 2, and it is amazing. It has been everything we could have asked since the beginning. Two teams that play great defense.
But it's been the kind of championship game that you always hope for. You don't always get.
Well, we've had a few clunkers along the way, but not so in this one. Berg misses the second one. Flick got the rebound and drops it home.
How many does Flick have now?
Flick has 11 points in the ball game, and that's at least 2 buckets that he's picked up that way on the missed free throw. Honor board. Now Pearson. The biggest lead I think Jefferson has enjoyed. It's 4 points. Pearson. Now it's 2 points and pressure in the backcourt. Monson coming up.
Big basket by Pearson. Here's Berg. Off for Walker. Easy to shoot when you're ahead, but the man who can make that jumper, or the woman, when the game is going to fade away from it, if you don't come up with the points, that's big.
Well, you changed that in a hurry, didn't you?
And the pressure's on. Pearson hit a nice one.
I just had a deja vu flashback at 45 going up in the air there with the blue and red jersey on.
Foul.
Is that number 5 on David Flick?
If it's on Flick, it'll be 5.
He's probably one of the better games of his career, though. He scored 12 tonight. His high game in his career is 13, so he's really played tough.
Well, like Radosevic, he is not going to stay in the ball game. He is going to come out. Radosevic will go to the free throw line. That's Dan Nayrud, who's checked in. Nayrud has played very well. Jack Evans talking with David Flick, and Jack's telling him how well he's playing over on the bench, and Radosevic has been pretty good from the free throw line. He has now hit 8 of 9 in the ball game. Radosevic has 14 points. Still 14, battle for the rebound. Horner comes up with it. They tie it up. The possession goes for Jefferson.
3:36 to go.
Three-point lead for Bloomington Jefferson, 48-45. Berg. Off for Monson, back for Berg.
Travel on Lynch. So it stays tight. 3-point game.
Central by 5 after the first quarter. Jefferson by 1 at the half. Duluth by 1 after 3 quarters. And Jefferson leads by 3 at the moment.
Central down by 3 now. They need to get a good shot. You know, Horner is looking for the shot, but they're trying to work it in and get a high percentage one.
Radosevic.
Foul on Walker.
Foul on Walker is his second. Radosevich back to the free throw line, shooting the 1-and-1. Radosevich has hit 8 of 10 from the line. He has 14 points.
Participation has been fairly limited, as you might speculate, in a championship game. Duluth Central has used 6 players and Jefferson 7.
Radosevich with 15 now, which gives him 1 more than Horner. They have been the top 2 scorers for Duluth Central. So back to a 1-point ball game, this time with Jefferson on top, 48-47, 2:52 to go.
Both teams are on the bonus now, too, as we wind down the clock with 2:40 left.
Berg hops over Stellmacher. Lynch sailed in for the rebound, knocked it out of bounds, and it will go now to Duluth with a chance to take the lead with 2:35 remaining.
Well, Lynch sometimes makes plays that others can only think about, and he had enough presence there to realize he couldn't get it up to the bucket. Dumped it off to a teammate in one spelled swoop, but it went out of bounds. Jefferson clings to a 1-point lead. Monson has been a tough defender. You know, he's not your smoothest offensive player, but he had a couple steals earlier, and that foul was just a hustle foul. He had the ball knocked loose and then got anxious to get it. Comes Monson in, deflects it, thinks he's got it, goes the lead for it, and fouls Sonnerborg.
Sonnerborg did a good job turning his body in such a way that Monson came right over and put a foul.
And Sonnerborg has now hit all 3 of his free throws. We are tied at 48 with 2:20 left.
Well, Jim Hastings gets his miracle season. It won't come easily. He will not cruise into his 4th championship.
Duluth Central by 1.
Oh, we referred to that championship 25 years ago in 1961 a couple times tonight, but that year, Central, ironically, was undefeated that season, and they had a tough game against Bemidji.
Berg. It's short. Walker rebounds over Radosevich. Now Nayrud puts it in. Nayrud has 10 points, and Bloomington leads by 1. Horner.
Well, you can't give him that good a look, but he missed it, fortunately. He really got a good look at the basket and went up smoothly. Jefferson with the ball. They take that timeout, 1:37 to play.
And this is the 1986 Minnesota State High School Basketball Tournament. We'll be back quite a few times. It may go to OT. We haven't had one yet. But if ever one, I think, deserved to go to overtime, this might be it.
We've had our last 3 AA games. 3 points decided them. The first 2, or 3 points right now have decided them. The first 2 went down to the 1-second shots. North losing both games to Duluth Central last night, and the 3rd place game to St. Paul Central tonight. And this one could be another.
Jefferson has the ball in their front court.
Nayrud moves in, doesn't like what he sees.
They're up 1 now with 1:30 left in the game. They have control. They're probably going to use the clock and look for a good shot.
They surprised Central a little bit. They went right into their attack. Oh, Duluth Central with the steal.
There's Radosevich. Lynch coming up from behind, off for Pearson, 1:15 to go. No drama for you, Janet?
Oh, big break for Central.
Off by Pearson. Radosevich after Berg made a great play.
Oh,
he did.
Over and back.
He was on the other side.
He has to come. If he came from that side and landed there, that's a violation. I don't know how long you have to be over there, but you cannot just step over the line after you've been over and receive the ball. So it's back to Jefferson, 1:02 to go, and they have a 1-point lead.
Jim Hastings talking with his troops, telling them you got to be more careful when you have the ball. Bird started the sequence by getting a hand in the way, made the deflection, and then finally Jefferson's going to wind up as Jack Evans talks to the Jaguars. They are in a position of having the ball and the lead with 1 minute and 2 seconds left. Can they run 1 minute 2 off the clock?
I don't think they're smooth enough in the backcourt to do that, especially the way Central hawks the ball.
And if you're Central, when do you foul? Do you wait till 13 seconds in the game last night for a John Horner to pick up the steal?
We'll try and find out. A lot of yelling. I'm not sure if they're going to try and get the ball. Obviously, then call a timeout.
So we have to get the ball back without them scoring. A key little phrase in there. And that's tough to do, but Central's come up with some big steals. Of course, the one we remember from last night, John Horner.
1:02 to go. We're separated by a point. In for Nehrude.
Good trap.
It is Walker getting his way out for Berg with 53 now to go. And so now the Central team, Duluth, has the ball with 37 seconds to go. There's their timeout.
Jefferson bench wanted a kicking violation there. There's no doubt to me that Sonnenberg threw his foot out there intentionally. Whether it hit his, I didn't see where it hit. If it hit his foot, they've got to
hit his shin.
A little bit surprised they didn't see the call there, and I think the Jefferson bench would agree. But now Duluth Central in position to control their own destiny.
Watch where it hits, Jimmy.
There's Monson. And with his leg coming out in motion.
Well, it was good hustle by Sonnenberg even to get to that foul as it was rolling down the court.
First one huddle, then the other.
I'll be surprised if they get it in like they did last night to Radosevich. I think Jefferson will seal down that play, try to make him hit from long distance.
I think it's going to be Pearson or Horner taking the shot. I don't think you have much choice.
And when do they take it?
I don't know. What do you think? You're behind, so do you wait and have it all hinge on one shot or not?
We've seen several teams wait. Central waited tonight. Variable waited in the opener.
Both gambled and lost.
Oh, that's what
Central.
Jim Hastings has 25 years of experience, so we'll see what he comes up.
Let's see what happens.
Honor board.
They sure do look patient. They don't have a timeout left, so this is it.
Remington Jefferson by 1, but Duluth Central unbeaten has the ball. There's Pearson. Doesn't go. Tap up, no good. Rebound goes to Walker. And they'll foul him immediately. And so they didn't wait until the last minute. Pearson did take the shot, and they gave themselves enough time to work with just in case something went wrong, which it did.
Well, Pearson did get inside. They left the hole there. He's been penetrating very well all night. The shot was there, and last night it fell. Tonight it didn't, but there are still 11 seconds. And, of course, Walker would have to. Well, you see the good opportunity by Pearson and the strong rebound by Walker. Of course, he has to make them both put the game at more than a 2-point spread.
Gets the first.
This is the big one. Central could still come down and tie it. Should Walker miss this foul shot? He denies it. He hits it.
He gets them both. Central's got to hurry. Here comes Pearson. Takes it right to the lane, right inside. Takes the shot and scores. There's 4 seconds to go.
No timeout.
They don't have to throw it in.
And that's the ball game. Another one-point win. This time it's Bloomington Jefferson that ends Duluth Central's unbeaten season and a dream of Jim Hastings to go out with a championship in its final game.
What a Super Bowl game. And Jack Evans showed as much emotion as I've seen. He went over and hugged Jake Lynch, his assistant. That's his big show. And the kids have their party now.
Well, Kevin Lynch can join his brothers that were on the '82 championship team for Jefferson.
State championships are sweet. The one for LeSueur this afternoon certainly was big for that school. But I think there's even more of a special feeling to something like this where the doubt, the result is in doubt right down to the final second.
Jefferson, it's really amazing they could come back and win a championship after losing 9 seniors last year. Lynch being the only player off the top 10 to return.
Jim Hastings, his final game as head coach. Jefferson Jaguars, the AA champions of the state of Minnesota for 1986, and they indeed are number 1.
I was talking to Ed Prohofsky, who was the game manager, one of the game managers, and he had so many Marshall U High teams here. They won a couple of state championships in Class A, and he said prophetically beforehand, this is going to be one of those classics. Just made the statement. Heartbreak.
Well, Pearson there, who had the shot that brought him to within 1, but within 1 was not good enough.
When it comes down to that, to the 1 point, that's what classic means. When you get reactions like that.
And the season will end for Duluth Central with 23-1. Radosevich.
They won't feel better for a while, no matter how many people come over and tell them it was a great game, it could have gone either way, you did your best, we're proud of you. Doesn't matter right now. They wanted that big one. There's the team that got it.
Jefferson comes in, beat Faribault by 2, routed St. Paul Central by 25, and survived tonight by 1. And again, it was everything you could ask for in a state high school championship game.
Very classy move by Jim Hastings to go down and along the bench there to all his dejected players and tell them each personally how it feels for him to have been privileged to coach them in a thrilling game.
Let's pick up on the award ceremony.
High School League. Donald Faulkner, school board member from Sandstone and the president of the board of directors. Dan Skoog, representing the Commissioner of Education for Minnesota. Jody Brandvold of Brooklyn Center. Marlon Spangrud of Mankato East. Medals are awarded each member of the official squads of the first and second place teams. Trophies are presented to the championship team, the second place team, the third place team, and the winner of the consolation championship game in each class. The Class AA consolation trophy was awarded to Faribault High School this morning, and the Class AA third place trophy and bronze medals were awarded to St. Paul Central High School earlier this evening. At this time, we will have the presentation of silver medals to the Trojan basketball team from Duluth Central. First, Brian Rudd. Mark Pavela. Daryl Sylvester. Carl Calloway. Mike Mitchell. Steve Williams. Paul Solstrom. Dave Woods. Jeff Pepper. Mike Graham Mason. Dan Sutterboard. Tom Pearson. Ron Stelmacher. John Horner. Tim Radosevich. And student manager Tom Polson. And now a nice hand for Coach Jim Hastings and his staff. And now would the captains of the Duluth Central team please come forward to receive the second place trophy for AA Boys Basketball 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minnesota State High School League is pleased to sponsor a sportsmanship trophy for the state Class AA basketball tournament. The schools of Minnesota have been actively involved in the promotion of good sportsmanship this past winter season. And the evaluation committee has selected Fergus Falls High School as the recipient of the AA basketball sportsmanship trophy. The cheerleaders from Fergus Falls will receive the trophy on behalf of their school fans, band, and team. Congratulations, Fergus Falls, sportsmanship winner for this tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 Minnesota State High School Class AA basketball champion is Bloomington Jefferson. Each member of the official squad will now receive the gold medal. First, Dale Forster. Jeff MacArthur. Tom Bada. Chad Jurgens. Mike Shear. Corey Otterdahl. Chris Weichel. Dan Nerud. Mike Jensen. Matt Stillwell. Jim Berg. David Flick. John Walker. Kevin Lynch. Jim Munson. Student manager Doug Lundahl. And now will the 1986 Class AA basketball champions come forward to receive the championship trophy. Bloomington Jefferson, state champions, boys basketball, Class AA.
Well, Jefferson has won it. Duluth Central's dream of a perfect season is dashed by a single point, and they have to settle for second place. This is the 1986 Minnesota High School Basketball Tournament.